Hello again, and welcome to the second episode of Construction Rocks. On this episode, we'll be talking about my second favorite construction tool, the Skilsaw. Yeah! Now, the Skilsaw, or as some people like to call it, the circular saw, is a common power tool that you would see at a construction site. Its main purpose, which is also why it's one of my favorites, is to make cuts faster and more accurately than with just a handsaw. Now, it can also make angled or beveled cuts, but the only cut that it can't really do is to make circular cuts. Now we have two types of skill saws. We have our battery skill saw, and we also have our corded skill saw. Oh yeah. The corded skill saw is more common to find at a construction site. Since it runs on AC power, it is built to cut thicker, harder, and treated wood, such as 4x4s, 2-inch plywood, and treated wood. The battery-powered saw, on the other hand, is more portable, yes, but it can only really handle lighter, thinner, and softer wood, like 2x4s, 1/2-inch plywood, and non-treated wood. For this episode, I will be using this battery-powered Skilsaw for all the demonstrations on how to use one. Now, you may guess already that this is the blade. This right here is the retractable blade guard, so that it reduces the chance of getting your finger sliced off. This little knob right here raises and lowers the platform so that the blade length can be adjusted. And this front knob right here, when you unscrew it, hold on a second, all right, changes the angle of the blade. How about that, folks? Now, with that out of the way, we need to talk about some safety guidelines when using the Skilsaw, because we don't want to end up looking like this guy. Okay, rule number 1, always wear your safety glasses. Oh yeah, because you never know what can fly off and hit you in the eyeball. Adjust the blade to be 1/4 inch past the thickness of the wood. This is in case when your fingers gets in the way, it will cut the finger, but not entirely. I mean, we don't want this to happen. Where did it? Number 3, clamp small materials when you're cutting. The reason why is because if we were to put this large blade on this side, it would tip it over and we wouldn't make a good cut. So it's important to have a clamp when you're doing small materials like this. Number 4, do not stand directly behind the Skilsaw while cutting. In some cases, the saw blade's teeth may actually catch the wood and propel it backwards. This might happen if that does happen. Number 5, do not put the Skilsaw down until the blade has stopped rotating. Now, the corded Skilsaw that I have right here rotates longer than this battery-powered Skilsaw right here. So please, plan your time accordingly. Number 6, do not put in the blade in backwards, because if you do, this might happen. Actually, it will do nothing except burn the motor. Finally, unplug the saw when making adjustments or when finished. This will reduce the risk of accidentally turning it on. Now with safety out of the way, let's cut wood. All right, so we have our line right here, all right? Now it's important that when we cut it, that we put the blade on the side that we don't want. Be sure that the blade is on the waste side of what we're cutting. And also make sure that the 0 mark is following the line. That will get you a straight line. And if you're really fancy, you can use Mr. Speed Square here to help you make an even straighter line, like so. So let's get it cutting. Ta-da! We have a 90-degree straight cut on our wood, exactly where the line is. Now, a straight line is all good and so forth, but what about lines that are inside a piece of plywood, for example, and the line is not touching the edge? In other words, the line is inside the plywood. So how do we cut those without cutting the edge? Well, let me show you. Okay, first make sure that the blade is at the right depth. Then what you do is you hold the guard open and tilt the blade like this. Lower the blade slowly. Applying a slight forward pressure, and then follow the line and proceed cutting. Well, there you have it, a T for Texas, the big, busting, boastful, beautiful Lone Star State. Well, my next episode is coming up soon. I'm John Cassler, and see you next time.
We're gonna rock this town, rock it inside out. We're gonna rock this town, make them scream and shout. Let's rock, rock, rock and rock. We're gonna rock till we pop, we're gonna rock till we drop. We're gonna rock this town, rock it inside out.
Ow.